Dr. Chatterji is an assistant professor at the Fuqua School of Business at Duke University and a fellow at the Center for American Progress. His research focuses on innovation policy, entrepreneurship, and small business issues, and corporate social responsibility. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Madam Chairwoman, members of the committee, thank you for inviting me to testify on this important economic policy issue, one that, with the exception of the good work of this committee, often does not receive the attention that it deserves. In my view, American small businesses are not just the backbone of our economy, they're also the linchpin of our societies. In the places I've lived across this country, upstate New York, where I was born and raised, Northern California, where I did my graduate studies, and now the Research Triangle in North Carolina, I've seen that small businesses is one of the most important variables affecting the overall economic health in a region. I've also observed that many immigrants to this country, like my parents, have started small businesses as a way to provide for their children. Finally, I've studied how global economic forces have changed the competitive landscape, yes, providing new threats to small businesses, but also new opportunities. However, in the current policy debates, American small businesses are often an afterthought. Some recommendations seem to be driven by the assumption that what's good for the Fortune 100 is obviously just going to trickle down to small businesses. I think the real story is a little bit more complicated than that, frankly. I think the federal, state, and local governments have numerous tools at their disposal to help small businesses, especially in the current economic environment. And in the end of the day, it will be the widely admired entrepreneurial initiative of the American people and their entrepreneurs that drive success. But the government can actually help to harness that initiative rather than hinder it. And I think that's the difficult challenge of public policy that we face today. In that spirit, let me offer a few thoughts on some of the issues being discussed today, in particular the export outlook for American small business. Well, there are many reasons to be concerned about the future of the American economy: rising energy costs, the turmoil in the mortgage markets, an increase in the unemployment rates. Until recently, American exports were one bright spot. They'd increased 16.6% from last year, although the chairwoman's new data suggests that this year might not look as good. When we look beyond the data, we might be concerned that the majority of American businesses, namely small business, are not benefiting as much as they could be from what was a favorable climate for exports until recently. According to the Small Business Export Association, 240,000 of our small businesses are exporting, accounting for $450 billion in value. That sounds like a big number, but these businesses only represent a small fraction of small businesses, less than 1% in most cases. Furthermore, over 60%, as mentioned in the chairwoman's opening statement, are only exporting to one country, which makes it much more volatile if local conditions in that country decline. Also, as prefaced by the other remarks, most of these exports are also regionalized in the NAFTA countries, particularly Canada and Mexico. We have a lot of opportunities in China and India that are not being exploited. When you look at the ratio of exports coming from small businesses, it amounts to about 29% of the total value. I think that's an important number we need to keep in mind. It's not necessarily the number of small businesses that are exporting, there's a percentage of value that matters a lot as well. That percentage at 29% has stayed pretty constant over the last few years. I think there's a lot of room for growth. On the other hand, during the same time, we've seen double-digit increases in the overall value of exports. 1.4 trillion to 1.6 trillion last year, an increase of 12%. That's on top of another increase of 12% the year before. So as exports have been going up, small businesses' share has stayed pretty much the same. And I think that's where sort of the focus of this committee could lie. So while we hear some encouraging statistics here about the percentage of exports who are small business, I encourage you to focus on the percentage of total value. I also think we need to look at those industries which are dominated by small businesses for special study. 94% of machinery manufacturers are small businesses. 93% of computer producers are small businesses. We have some disturbing data showing that exports in some of these industries are actually going down in 2008, in addition to lumber and textiles. These are the industries we need to be focusing on where the majority are small businesses. Now, I should caution you that there are several caveats and exceptions embedded in these data. But taken together with the current economic climate, they indicate, in my view, that we should consider policies to aid U.S. small businesses in accessing foreign markets. They clearly need the help, and there's potential for growth. So let me briefly conclude by describing a few of the challenges faced by small business and where I see some potential policy responses. The first challenge is a general lack of awareness on the part of small business about the opportunities to do business abroad. You think about a multitasking entrepreneur who barely has time to run their own business and manage family affairs, much less think about entering a foreign market. We need more information for these small business owners, and particularly the information about these tremendous opportunities abroad in China and India. Large markets here, like China and India, have increasingly large aircraft markets, for example, and the U.S. machine tool industry could supply these markets. The fact of the matter is, small businesses in developing countries countries are not technologically sophisticated enough to source the large businesses in their domestic regions. This is a huge opportunity for U.S. domestic producers if they can seize it. Trade promotion at all levels of government needs to be consolidated and better coordinated and provide practical and clear information about foreign markets and foreign cultures as well. Let's not make missteps by not understanding foreign cultures when we're doing this. Many people have said this, but I want to add one more thing. Entrepreneurship is a very social process. Most entrepreneurs I talked to in my research founded firms based on people they knew, raising money from friends and family. We need to leverage their social networks to get the word out about how to access foreign markets. Immigrant entrepreneurs have already established strong ties with their home countries that we can use to access foreign markets. These things need to be considered, the social network aspect of entrepreneurship, when we think about policy. Finally, I think while advances in technology have made communication easier, nothing replaces face-to-face contact. It's just simply so expensive for small businesses to do the due diligence required to appraise foreign partners. The Gold Key program by the U.S. Export Assistance Program is one good one, and as the ranking member mentioned, I think it's a good idea to continuously evaluate these programs and see where they continue to improve. Finally, to make a personal appeal, but it actually has broader implications, I think we need better data on small business. So much of the data here today that I was looking at and preparing for this testimony does not include very critical parts of the story. Service exports, in particular, might be as large as 40% of the overall picture not included in the data. So I would like to see more of that data collected, and maybe this committee can help on that count as well. In conclusion, I think we all agree U.S. small businesses are a critical part of the economy. The question is how to harness that entrepreneurial initiative going forward. I think some of the policies suggested here today are a step in that direction. I want to thank you for your time, and I look forward to your questions.